Updates as big as razors and a lot of changes right here, right now. Today's video is dedicated to the memory of Canadian architect Frank Gehry, who luckily seems to have hated straight lines, and we're all better for that. Frank, thanks for your art and the engineering needed for it. Greetings from me, you're watching WromWrom, the channel sharing the joy of sim racing and a regular news roundup, our weekly sim racing news. What a week! Lots of companies dropping updates after their weak entries into the list of sim racing, but on the other hand, lots of sim racers once again driving on whatever they want. Because we're still spoiled for choice, like you are in our channel and in today's news. Rennsport just dropped their latest patch, version 1.15, and it's live across all platforms. Let's dig into what's changed. The big news up front, they fixed some crashes that were happening on consoles, particularly when players tried to open the free camera from the pit screen. Console players should also notice their rear view mirrors looking considerably sharper now. The devs increased both the resolution and draw distance, plus tweaked the sky color to make everything look better. They also sorted out a weird issue where your in-car mirror and virtual mirror were showing different distances. That must have been disorienting. On the AI front, Rennsport admits their computer-controlled drivers were posting unrealistic lap times. No specifics on whether they were too fast or too slow, but either way, that's now fixed. Graphics got some love too, especially on consoles. Grass now fades smoothly in the distance instead of just popping out of existence, and they've increased how far you can see objects while decreasing grass density overall. These changes apply across all platforms to varying degrees, with consoles getting bumped up to 100% object call distance scale, which is developer speak for you can see stuff farther away now. Several gameplay bugs bit the dust. If you finished an online race and found yourself stuck on the results screen unable to spectate or leave, that's fixed. The results now pop up 3 seconds after you cross the line. Auto transmission users won't accidentally false start anymore by pressing the throttle while waiting for the race to begin. The driveline assist actually shows up in single player now when you enable it, and disabling the virtual mirror won't leave you with a mysterious black bar anymore. Penalties got a fix too. They were being incorrectly applied when transitioning between race stages. Rennsport knows the UI might still say you have a penalty, but it won't actually affect anything, so that's partially fixed. In smaller changes, they removed the BOP screen from quick session, fixed some UI quirks with lap counts and minimap positioning, and corrected a wrong way indicator that was getting triggered incorrectly on the Orchard Road street circuit. Some technical fixes round things out. NVIDIA Reflex settings now actually safe, and Xbox players will see correct terminology for the start engine icons on their controllers. The developers are still tracking 3 known issues. Players can somehow re-enter the track from spectator view after race ends. They're visible but have no collision, which sounds wonderfully chaotic. There's some rubber banding when you spectate your own car after a race, and Xbox players will crash if they try to watch the same replay twice, so maybe don't do that. Also, they are hosting a holiday event with a pretty sweet prize. A track day at the Guggenheim Ring in Germany with the Rennsport team. The main event runs December 11th to 12th, 2025, with professional live broadcasting, and public qualifiers are open right now through December 10th. Here's the setup: 32 community drivers, 12 Rennsport R1 drivers and 4 content creators will compete in multi-class races using a tournament format. Community drivers and content creators will be on the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup 992, while the R1 drivers get to pick any GT3 car they want. Each group crowns 1 winner, and all 3 winners get invited to that Hockenheim Ring track day. You need to be at least 18 years old with a valid driver's license that's accepted in Germany, and due to legal restrictions, only EU residents can participate. The good news is Rennsport covers travel and accommodation for the track day, so you're not footing that bill. To qualify, first you have to fill out the registration form, see the link in the description, as even if you post a blazing fast lap time, you won't count as a participant without registering. Then set a valid lap time on the Guggenheim Ring Time Trials leaderboard using the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup. Your time will automatically show up on the qualifiers leaderboard if you've got the right car track combo in time trials mode. When qualifiers close on December 10th, the top 32 registered drivers advance to the semi-finals on December 11th and get contacted via Discord. If someone doesn't show up, they'll work down the list, be 33, 34, 35 and so on. You also need to be a member of the Rennsport Discord server to participate. One restriction: if you've officially raced in at least one event of this year's Rennsport R1 Championship, you can't enter through qualifiers. R1 drivers interested in competing should contact their team manager instead. The tournament's format will be 2 semi-finals, each featuring races at Spa, Monza and Hockenheim Ring, followed by finals the next day on the same 3 tracks. The P1 finisher from each of the 3 competing groups in the finals wins their category and gets that track day invite. Rennsport says exact dates for the track day will be confirmed later. Full terms and conditions are available on their website if you want the legal fine print. If you're an EU-based sim racer with a driver's license and want a shot at real track time, registration is open now through December 10th. It's that season once again. Some of our colleagues are full of doom and gloom about sim racing dying or some such, but it's not what the numbers say. First of all, there's the overall numbers of sim racers reaching an all-time record once again for the second time this year, with well over 37,000 average daily users. And that's only on PC. We sadly don't have any independent data for console racers. But as was to be expected by that record, the number of users is high for most every sim. Starting with AC Rally, which just came out, and let's see how the numbers hold in the future, but then we have Assetto Corsa Evo with good numbers, Automobilista 2 on a very stable place and once again scratching at the 1000 daily users, Le Mans Ultimate continuing with strong numbers, which we suppose will grow after the new update as they normally do. RaceRoom keeping their momentum, seems the free content rotation is keeping drivers interested, and of course the evergreen BeamNG, which reaches numbers that would have been an all-time record half a year ago and now seem normal. While we agree with our colleagues the quality of the releases in the last months could have been way better, we sim racers have more than enough sims to keep ourselves occupied and searching for the next tenth of a second who can get better than our rivals. RaceRoom has released a pack with the 2002 DTM cars. While not my preferred season of DTM, these cars are incredible fun compared to the GT3s they nowadays drive, of which RaceRoom also dropped a pack, the 2025 DTM pack. They also brought the BMW M4 GT3 Evo as new car into the sim. At the Women with Drive 5 next week, women will be able to hot lap on 3 simulators with Moza equipment. The fastest female racer wins a Moza R5 racing bundle. Nice marketing at the right place, I'd say. Sims Recreation is very much in a tight spot as the studio has announced they may be letting go of part or all of their stuff. Seems THQ Nordic are not willing to invest in its future. In all fairness, they are only the publisher and they've not sold enough licenses for the game to be financially sound. While they are searching for investors, the future does not look bright. After presenting it at the Sim Racing Expo about a month and a half ago, which gives me the impression it was undercooked then, Kuno Simulazione just dropped their biggest early access update yet for Assetto Corsa Evo. Version 0.4 brings 10 new cars in 13 variants, 5 legendary circuits with multiple layouts, and introduces the daily racing portal, plus a mountain of improvements to physics, audio, graphics and UI systems. In Kuno's defense, the size of the update is more similar to what Reza has accustomed us to, and where there's a lot of code, there's the chance of a lot of bugs. The headliner here is AC Evo GG, the new daily racing portal that's setting up AC Evo's competitive multiplayer future. You can browse daily races directly on the portal and register without even launching the sim. When the event starts, you click through and it automatically drops you into the correct server. The system uses grid rating to handle automatic splits, grouping drivers by skill level so you're racing against similarly paced opponents. If you're already a SimGrid driver, your grid rating carries over automatically. Kunos calls this the first phase of a long-term vision and promises the platform will expand over time with leaked features, advanced statistics, and deeper in-game integration. So what you're getting now is the foundation, not the finished building. The car list is really diverse. In the racing class, you get the Ferrari SF25, the first modern-era Formula 1 car in AC Evo, complete with hybrid technology, ERS, DRS, and over 1000 horsepower from its hybrid V6. Kunos claims it accelerates from 0 to 200 in under 5 seconds, while generating over 5G of downforce in high-speed corners, which sounds properly terrifying. The GT category adds the Ferrari F40 LM, the competition version with around 720 horsepower from its upgraded twin-turbo V8, and the Porsche Cayman 718 GT4 RS in 2 variants, including one with the Weissach performance package. The GT4 RS packs a 500 HP naturally aspirated flat 6 that revs past 8000 RPM. Road cars bring some big icons. There's the BMW M3 E46 CSL with its lightweight philosophy and 360 horsepower straight 6, the BMW M8 Competition Coupe with its twin-turbo V8 and switchable all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive modes, and the Ferrari Daytona SP3 with its 840 HP non-hybrid non-turbo V8 that screams past 9000 RPM. The hot hatch and rally contingent includes the Mini John Cooper S MK6 in 2 variants, standard with the 1275cc A-Series engine, plus a B16 conversion packing a 1.6-liter Honda VTEC engine with over 160 horsepower. The Peugeot 205 T16 brings a Group B all-wheel drive rally pedigree with its mid-engine turbocharged layout. The Renault 5 GT Turbo offers lightweight front-wheel drive thrills with its 1.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder. And then there's the Toyota Supra Turbo RZ MK4 with the legendary 2JZ GTE twin-turbo inline-6 delivering 326 horsepower stock, though Kunos mentions it has massive tuning potential, often exceeding 1000 horsepower in modified form. The update includes a dedicated drift spec version with higher torque and specific steering angles. Kunos calls these the latest circuit expansion of the early access program so far, and they're not kidding. You're getting Monza, Road Atlanta, the Nürburgring GP circuit in 2 layouts, the Nordschleife in 3 layouts including Touristenfahrten, the tourist configuration, and the historic Olten Park in 2 variants. All tracks are fully laser scanned. They've also updated all existing Formula 1 circuits with new DRS zones to support the SF25. The physics model received what Kunos calls a significant evolution. There's a new tire damping method that delivers higher compliance and more consistent grip, while refined tire inertia and slip ratio improve traction under braking and acceleration. The grip model now balances higher baseline adhesion with progressive combined slip limits, basically rewarding precision and car control. Tire thermal and wear behavior have been expanded to simulate temperature cycles, degradation, and compound life cycles in greater detail. Hybrid, KERS, and ERS systems have been unified for authentic power deployment and energy recovery, all crucial for that SF25. The drivetrain now features an enhanced wobble model with mechanical elasticity and non-linear stiffness, which should result in richer force feedback. Only it really doesn't. From the cockpit, you can now adjust electronic controls including brake bias, turbo, damper, and differential settings. Improvements also extend to dual clutch transmission behavior, solid axle dynamics, and rolling resistance for more accurate top speeds. The audio system got extensive work across engines, transmissions, turbos, and environmental ambience. Turbo pitch now responds to both boost and RPM, transmission sound sets have been reworked, VTEC transitions feature more detailed cues, and the drivetrain wobble model has been rebuilt from scratch. Updated backfires, turbo hiss, scraping effects, and raindrop ambience round out what Kunos describes as a more mechanical, immersive soundscape. Graphics-wise, car paint materials have been revised, post-processing and motion rendering are cleaner, and memory efficiency has improved with reduced VRAM usage. Cockpit clarity has been refined, and specific models like the MX-5 Cup, ND1, ND2, Lamborghini Huracan ST Evo 2 and Porsche GT4 Club Sport MR received visual updates. Performance should be smoother in crowded scenes, particularly during online and multi-car races. The UI continues evolving with expanded HUD notifications, a cleaner server list, a refreshed client-side leaderboard, and new track maps across HUD and pit lane screens. There is a new multiplayer chat widget, an expanded MFD supporting modern electronic systems, improved speedometer, gear and tire widgets, plus odometers for owned vehicles. On the gameplay side, replays are now lighter and the penalty system has been redesigned to improve the overall racing experience. Kunos describes this as advancing AC Evo toward becoming the most sophisticated driving simulator ever produced, which is a bold claim for an early access title and not in par with what we've experienced. AC Evo is currently available on Steam in early access with a 20% discount. Le Mans Ultimate is wrapping up 2025 with one more massive update before the holidays. Version 1.2 drops on PC December 9th and it's absolutely stuffed with new features, physics improvements and the second pack of ELMS content. The second ELMS Season Pass pack brings Circuit Paul Ricard to the sim, you know, the one with the colored lines that make you dizzy, that is owned by Uncle Bernie of F1 infamy. The developers unsurprisingly but helpfully warn you not to get bamboozled by the off-track paint. Too late for that. Right now you're getting the 2025 ELMS configuration with additional layouts coming later once they finish the ELMS Season Pass. The car is the Ginetta G61 LT P325 Evo, a British-built LMP3 that debuted this year in ELMS with DKR Engineering finishing 9th overall. It uses the same Toyota V6 engine as its LMP3 rivals but has its own specific chassis tuning, aero and suspension setup. Both Paul Ricard and the Ginetta come automatically to ELMS Season Pass holders and Race Control Pro Plus subscribers, or you can grab them separately for €9.99, £8.99, $11.99. The physics site received what the developers call a huge re-evaluation of key simulation features, starting with Railroad, their track surface simulation system. They discovered the rubber accumulation was building up centrally where the vehicle traveled, not necessarily where the tires actually contacted the road. That's been corrected, so the racing line should feel wider and give you more confidence when going offline for overtakes or navigating multi-class traffic. Rubber distribution between high and low speed corners has been normalized too, meaning high speed braking zones no longer have mysteriously less grip than slow corners. They've also rebalanced grip from rubber across all circuits for better consistency, and in wet conditions rubbered surfaces are now less grippy, making wet lines more realistic when hunting those extra tenths in the rain. Online Railroad now works better with multiple cars laying down rubber over time, so you should see much greater track evolution during a race on dry circuits. Here's a feature that might sound minor but was crucial: wheel rim heating. The rim now exchanges heat with its environment, meaning brake discs and tires directly impact each other thermally. This results in more consistent warming parameters and improved behavior, especially in cold temperatures, and something that can be used to warm the tires fast, as you can do in ACC. This feature is live on all cars except hypercars. Those get their update in January. The team invested significant time in performance optimization, implementing texture streaming. This lets you run higher quality textures even if you're VRAM limited, because textures dynamically improve as you get closer to objects. lower to mid-tier graphic card users benefit most. You should be able to run higher graphics settings while seeing improved frame rate stability. It also means your car's detail level in driver swap events is no longer determined by your opponent's settings. This seems to have come from the work on the console version, as the developers note this is a great example of early console compatibility work being brought back into the PC product. The developers listened to community concerns about driving standards and are rolling out their first wave of solutions. They acknowledge their netcode is industry-leading, but admit some players are racing a little bit too close together. Driver badges measure your contact ratio over your last 10 races, adjusted for contact severity, and display a badge to other players. For your first 10 races, you get a rookie badge while they gather data. After that, you receive one of 3 badges: Good Driver, Trusted Driver, or Warning. Good and trusted drivers are what they want in lobbies. Warning drivers get a chance to improve before automatic banning kicks in. If banned, you return in a probation state with a unique badge during re-evaluation. Bans escalate in severity with each trigger until you're permanently ejected. The system will also be used for matchmaking, particularly in beginner lobbies, matching first by badge criteria, then by driver rank. They're also planning to add new badge types in future, potentially for race wins or championships. Staff, real-world drivers, and content creators get manually assigned special badges they can select if they maintain good or trusted status. They've been tracking this metric in race control for a few weeks already, so some players will have appropriate badges assigned on December 9. Live Steward is what they call a new pioneering method for automatically assessing race incidents, starting conservatively with only what they believe are intentional wrecks with a very high degree of confidence. The system monitors races and deals with rule breakers. For now, it's just recording incidents backend for monitoring and training before taking live action. Future plans include giving Live Steward authority to issue penalties for unsafe rejoins and car-to-car contact, but only when they're confident it's ready. The developers emphasize these features won't solve everything overnight, but represent steps toward a safer online racing environment. The developers acknowledge a sad reality of modern gaming: cheaters. They've noticed and banned some players, but need better, more scalable tools. Enter Easy Anti-Cheat. It blocks access to write-to-memory locations and crashes the game if players tamper with it. Everyone must have the anti-cheat service running to join servers. Be advised, Easy Anti-Cheat is the reason for a lot of wobbly systems out there. It's not a good software, but it's used widely. The developers rewrote parts of their plugin system to accommodate this and tested with popular plugins, but want the community to report any issues via support tickets. Easy Anti-Cheat installs automatically with the update with a backup installer in the support folder. Because of this, you must launch the game through Steam now, not just by opening the executable directly. Online championships have been around for a year, offering points based on results versus opposition strength and human-reviewed protests for Race Control Pro and Pro Plus subscribers. Now they're adding team championships so players can battle over multiple races for team supremacy. This system will be used in the upcoming Le Mans virtual qualifiers, but players can jump in now to learn the process. After some delay, Engineer Mode is finally here. They used the extra time to write a more complete data sharing system that also solves long-standing data sync issues when joining in-progress servers. Engineer Mode lets you configure your teammates' pit stops, allowing your teammate to focus purely on driving as fast and consistently as possible. And you can now invite Steam friends who own LMU to be your engineer for single driver special events and online championships. Visual damage has been revised for more realism, tires received another pass for LMP2, LMP3 and all GT3 cars, and temperature peaks are less aggressive, meaning smoother grip drop-off, with more control and less on-off behavior, especially when tires are already running hot. Time penalties have been added, bringing more nuance to the penalty system. These add time to your next stop or race finish automatically rather than the much harsher drive-through being the minimum penalty. You'll see these for illegal passes or race start procedure violations. There's a brand new telemetry system designed internally for physics validation but released publicly because we're nice like that. Players can record in-game and export to DuckDB format convertible to other formats. Full documentation will be available on guidelemaultimate.com. Japanese language support finally arrives in version 1.2, custom liveries get new material presets, and the car select screen has been reordered to showcase your custom liveries first. No more digging them out from the bottom. End of race procedures receive significant changes. In offline mode, the simulation no longer stops immediately. You can continue driving before returning to the garage. Online, you can still escape to the pit lane immediately after crossing the line, but you're no longer automatically returned after 30 seconds. It's up to you when to return within reason. The developers note they've barely touched the surface of the myriad of improvements and fixes in this release, so check the full release notes when available. Career mode development continues with work this release period dedicated to making your AI teammates' driving feel dynamic and interesting. They're hinting at Christmas holiday announcements with potential presents. Next release brings Barcelona and the Duquesne D08 LMP3, which was spelled wrong in their text, to complete the ELMS Season Pass. If these news helped, hit subscribe, we've got plenty more to tell. Thanks for watching, Rummies!